So in this video, I wanted to spend a few minutes talking about a really cool pen that I think a lot of people out there have heard of, but maybe you haven't picked up yet, and that's called the Odo Dude. It's probably best known for the fountain pen, but I have it here in the rollerball, which is my preferred style, but it's definitely a solid fountain pen. And the Dude is known for being a chunky aluminum pen with a nice weight to it and a very reasonable price tag. This one I bought, I think, from Amazon for about $12, and you can get this pen for, I'd say, like between $12 and $20, depending on where you buy it from and the color. If you're particular about your color, you might end up spending a little bit more. And then again, if you want a fountain pen or rollerball, prices will fluctuate a little bit. But think, $12, $15, $16 right around there. So we have a hexagonal design, and it tapers, so it goes from hexagonal to round, which is a pretty cool technique. The body is metal, but I'm pretty sure it's aluminum in particular. Aluminum cap that also is hexagonal with a sort of taper to it as well. Both the ends are also metal, but they have this sort of cone shape and then a slightly rounded end piece. This is, I would say, like a satin finish, anodized satin, whereas the top and bottom are more polished. It's definitely shiny, but it doesn't pick up any sort of fingerprints or anything like that because it is that nice aluminum finish. You can see that the middle piece here is chrome, I guess some sort of chromed metal, maybe it's steel, it's hard to say. There's a spring steel clip that is actually like really sharp and sort of unpleasant to use. I feel like the clip is a little bit too small given how large and chunky the pen is, but that's kind of just me. Pulling it off, it is a snap cap. We see a grip, and the grip is interesting because it looks like it's rubber. And before I had bought this pen, I always thought to myself, like, why would you pair this really nice metal body with a rubber grip that's going to get old and eventually get grimy and sticky and start falling apart? Like, why use something that's going to wear out next to something with such nice permanence? But it's actually metal. I'm not sure if it's aluminum like the body, but it's definitely metal. There's no rubber here at all. So that was a really nice surprise for me. And then we see it moves from that kind of thick grip, a tapered grip, or like a ergonomic grip, but then it has this really small front cone piece, which is, for me, like aesthetically, I think it's really strange when you have this like big chunky aluminum body, another big piece, another relatively large piece, and then like a kind of standard piece. It looks like the front piece off of like a Uniball Signo or something like that. They just like slapped something on there, like, oh, hey, we need something to hold the writing tip in place. Let's just use this off the shelf. But anyway, it's not a huge deal, and it is a very comfortable pen when you're holding it. This unscrews, and you can see that inside is a really great refill. One of my favorite rollerball style refills, and this is the ceramic roller from Odo. So it's called a C305 in 0.5 millimeter. If you go back and you check out my smoothest rollerball refills, this is one of the top picks. So definitely highly recommend that. And then, it's just metal threads, really nice there. So no problems at all with the build quality in this pen. It's really quite nice. The cap does post. It has sort of a gritty feel to it. I feel like when I do it, I kind of feel like I'm going to scratch up the aluminum, but it's held up pretty well. Speaking of aluminum, I did want to point out this right here. And I guess I dropped the pen at some point, and it has this little gouge in it. Aluminum is a relatively soft metal, so if you do drop it, you will see some damage like that. And the finish on this isn't immaculate, but it was kind of disappointing to see this happen like that. And there's some other like dings and scratches, just normal wear and tear, but this one must have fallen pretty hard. Again, that hurts a lot more when it's an $80 brass machine pen, and it's, again, that really soft metal. and it hurts you less when it's a $16 aluminum pen, but still, to have this really nice pen body with that blemish on it is a little bit disappointing. Nice fit to the cap. And then I will say, like, one thing I find to be very annoying is that if you don't put it on perfectly straight, it will always, every time, it will get caught on the that little cap in there. And that's designed to keep the nib, or in this case, the writing tip, from drying out, but it will always catch. On the outside, you see Odo, made in Japan. Dude, that's the name, the Dude. Not too much else here. You'll see the retail price is 1,000 yen, so about $10. Again, so you make it in the US for like $12, $16, which makes sense after some shipping and import duties and stuff like that. And the model is the CB10DD-SV. And that SV is, I believe, just the silver color. It's also sold in green, blue, purple, black, and a few other colors. It's really nice in the black. I like it in the classic silver. It has a sort of like, again, just like a sort of classic, like, I don't know, like airplane type design, like the outside of a old school airplane with the kind of raw or like lightly, it's not raw aluminum. I believe it is anodized, but it has that aluminum color to it. So it's like a polished aluminum. It is quite cool. As far as the writing goes, this is a really solid pen because it uses the Odo, the ceramic refill. And it's not the refill itself that's ceramic. I believe it's the ball at the end. Instead of using a very hard metal like a tungsten, they use a ceramic, which is obviously quite hard as well, possibly harder than some other metals. I'm not sure if ceramic is technically harder than tungsten carbide, but it writes really nicely and has a really nice smoothness to it, even though this is a 0.5 millimeter. So this is the roller ball, obviously, and the Dude is also available as the fountain pen, and maybe I'll do another video on that. I don't have it with me right now, otherwise I would do a quick comparison. But I really like how this refill writes. It's just a great writer day to day. It has a nice, wet, smooth feel to it, even though it's a 0.5 millimeter, and the ink is just really well behaved. This is I would say a really exceptional refill, and they're not generally cheap on their own. So the fact that you get one in a 12 or whatever dollar pen is really nice, because I think the refill will sell for something like maybe $7 or $8 on its own. As far as the size goes, the Dude is actually a really nicely sized pen. It is not small. You can see it's larger than a Sharpie, which is not a particularly small writing instrument, and just way bigger than like a Bic Crystal. Again, that's not a large pen, but just for a size comparison, I don't have a full pen collection with me right now. The Dude is definitely wider, and while it's not super, super long, it definitely has a lot of width to it. It's the size of a much more expensive pen, I guess. So again, not that long, but in diameter and in shape, I would say it's very close to a Sharpie. So if you're trying to decide, is this the right pen for me? Think of a heavier Sharpie, and you could hold that and say, is this something I want to write with? Obviously you have the tapered writing grip, which is more comfortable than the Sharpie, but makes it a little bit skinnier there, but pretty close comparison. And has a really, I would just reinforce, a really nice weight to it. I think it's 25 grams or 28 grams. You can catch on sharpen.com for all the full specs and details. I have that posted. So that is the Odo Dude Rollerball. I really would recommend this pen. I think it's very cool looking. The clip and the cap action, both of those are things I find annoying, but not annoying that I don't end up using this pen a whole lot. I think it's just like a really nice pickup with a great refill, and it's a standard size inside there, so you could swap it out and put in like a Pelican or a Pelican 338 or whatever that rollerball refill is, or kind of whatever standard rollerball refill you like a Schmidt 888, for example. So that's it. Highly recommended. Very easy to find. pretty much will last forever, and pretty much covers it. Oh, I did want to compare it to a Kaweco, but I don't have any of those with me either, but I think those two would be a good comparison that I will do in the future. So thanks for watching.